today we're going to be talking about the link between color and learning. And my name is Ana Caballero, as you can read here, but I'm also known as Ana del Norte, or Ana from the North, because of my cartoons. This is one of them. Before we begin, I will kindly ask you to relax. I mean, you had a great session with Emily. It was amazing, it was very dynamic. And now we're going to relax and you're going to focus on the colors. You have blue and green. You're going to listen. Let's take a few minutes to relax, okay? Breathe in, count 1, 2, 3. Hold your breath. 1, 2, 3, and breathe out. Look at how the colors merge in this beautiful blue and green watercolor and how you feel right now. There is a light of blue color going around your body as you breathe in. Again, 1, 2, 3, and breathe out. I know there might be many distractions, but do not focus on them. Focus on you and your feelings and these colors. If it's hard to look at the color, use your imagination and think about something that is related to these colors. For example, the sea or some grass or a tree, whatever makes you feel better. Again, inhale, 1, 2, 3. Hold it, 1, 2, 3, and exhale. Are you ready for today's session? Relax and enjoy. Okay. Today, I'm happy and I'm green. I actually saw some of your comments before Emily's session, and most of you said you were feeling green or the color green came to your mind. I created this so you could relate emotions to colors. So I'm going to ask you right now to type in the chat box whatever you feel and the color. As I said, I'm green and I'm happy. What about you? Green, 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 green. Happy people. Wow. Pink and relaxed. Okay. Oh, romantic. Very good. Thank you so much. I want to share a story with you. Remember? Um, this is me about, well, 15 years ago, it was 12 or 15 years ago. I was a teacher at an only girls school. It was secondary. I loved playing with my students, and I got a job at this very strict and special school. This is a group. This is one of the groups I used to teach. And here they look happy, but this happened after a breaking point. The first day of school, well, I started working in the middle of the school year. So when I first walked into the classroom, they looked at me and said, "Hey, you're going to be our third English teacher this school year." The other two ran away because they couldn't handle us. I mean, it was just like talking to Regina George and Mean Girls. And I was scared, to be honest. I was around 20 something years old. But I was determined to take that challenge. Um, there must be something that could be done, and I was willing to try pretty much everything. I mean, I tried changing teaching approaches. I did PPP, TBL, text-based. I also tried playing music for them in the class. I tried playing games. I also asked them to, talking to them and oh gosh, have you ever had those students or those groups that you don't know what to do, but you try to do pretty much anything to change the conversation here? Yep. I must confess that every time I walked out of that classroom, I would cry my eyes out in the bathroom because I thought it was impossible. But one day, as a teacher, as an artist, as an illustrator, I wanted to use a different strategy. How many times? Thank you, teachers. I'm in Mexico. I decided that I was going to use colors in the classroom to have them reflect on something. I used some cards to draw some alphabet letters. I gave each student a letter. I didn't tell them that this was a phrase, but I told them to use the colors that represent them and their personality. And they had X amount of minutes so they could decorate their card. Once they finished, I told them, well, this is a phrase. Work together so you can put that sentence or that phrase together and tell me if you believe in this or not. Well, it took them around 30 minutes because they had conflicts between them. I mean, it was a very, very difficult group, and they were willing to have me run away. But after those 30 minutes, they realized, I don't know if you can read it because the resolution is not good. I mean, this was the first time I did it with this group and with, when teaching. But actions, yes, exactly. Actions speak louder than words. So now that they have figured it out, well, there you go. Actions speak louder than words. They had promised so many times they would become a better group that I told them, well, this time each letter has a part of you. Each letter represents you. So on the back of each letter, you're going to write something you commit to during the rest of the school year. So they did. And this changed completely. It was a game changer. So every time some students will start to misbehave, the other ones will tell them, hey, actions speak louder than words. And it became an important part of our school year. And this is when I discovered and when I found out how important it is to use color in the classroom, even for something as simple as classroom management. What do you think? Can you relate to this type of situation? Thank you. So this is why I've been using colors all of these years, even in classes and teacher training courses. And well, I have some questions. Well, I have two questions for you guys. Number one, how do you use color in your classroom? I'll give you a minute so you can type the way you use color in your classroom, please. And how do you use it? Do you use it for grammar? Do you use it to color coding? Good. Every class. Hmm? Very good. Decoration, highlighting. Good. Okay. Second question. Why do you use it? Just because you like it or because there is a rationale behind it? Oh, that's nice, Stacy. Teaching vocabulary, you use it in groups. Kids love coloring, yes, and coloring activates a different part of the brain, which helps them focus better on different activities to get, okay, visual, wow. Okay, now that we are in the mood for colors, I'm going to do some true or false, okay? Color coding improves information recall by only by 20%. Is this true or false? Good. It's false. Information, well, it is false because color coding improves information recall up to 40%. There was a study in which learners enjoyed most of the class because they were using colors and it was easier for them to remember what they were learning. Using colors can help improve memory retention. This is particularly useful for students who struggle or who have problems to retaining information presented in a more traditional way. Different colors activate different parts of the brain. True or false? Wow, you're getting an A+ in this test. True. Color processing is connected to areas of the brain responsible for emotions. This is why architecture is so important. This is why if you go to McDonald's, you feel like you have to eat and go. That's why they use it in fast food. Or if you go to H&M, you feel like you want to stay there for hours because everything is so neutral and so peaceful, and you just want to spend your money there. Next one, using color can have an emotional response. True or false? Very nice. Ding, ding, ding. True. I mean, blue promotes calmness and concentration. I mean, green enhances concentration as well and reduces anxiety. Um, this is why some hospitals are light blue or green, and they use this color palette. I mean, pink can have a calming effect on the nervous system. And well, I don't know if you knew this, but green can increase memory for positive words. Exactly, Ernest. Um, different colors can evoke different emotions, specific emotions, and you can set the tone for an entire lesson. Then we have a classroom here, which is green and blue. Now, students' behavior is not affected by color. This is false. Color can regulate energy levels or it can influence productivity. I mean, if you use yellow, it stimulates mental activity and optimism. Or if you have a classroom full of color, I mean, that is oversaturated, this could cause learners disrupt their learning process. I mean, we have classroom 1 and classroom 2. In which classroom do you think learners will be able to focus better? Exactly, number 1. Yes, sometimes we have classrooms that are very colorful, they're very nice, but whenever we are trying to teach something, students are like, teacher, car, and they point to the cart that where they have the car, right? And we also have kids who have autism, and those students need less colors and less stimuli so they can focus. Yep, exactly, Amalia. Other reasons to use color in the classroom, well, we can use it to strengthen memory pathways. This is why in Mexico, and I can see that we have many Mexican teachers here, we have this joke, la niña de los plumones, girls who always use their markers to make notes. Complex information becomes more manageable when color-coded. Again, I was that girl. I loved using different colors to have to grammar items or vocabulary items and so on. Yay, we have many girls who love markers here. Strategic use of color can increase attention span. Certain colors help maintain sustained focus. For example, classrooms that have more neutral colors have a better focus from learners. And color zoning helps organize cognitive tasks. If you have workstations that are labeled in different colors, you can have learners move from station to station. So, so they know what to do in each stage of the class. Okay. When it comes to physical environment design, I have 3 pictures, 3 settings. How would you feel in any of these scenarios or in any of these classrooms? Could you type them in the chat box? I mean, you can choose one or you can just talk about the 3 of them. Calm, focused. Relaxed. Yep. Nice. Well, if we go over the first classroom, the green classroom with earthy tones, green is usually associated with well-being, with harmony, nature. Students can relieve stress, reduce fatigue, and relax in this type of setting. I love windows too. Blue is usually associated with the ocean and sky, and it increases productivity, and it also helps regulate heartbeat and breathing. And purple, well, for me, I mean, this is a personal opinion. Purple is like the best from 2 worlds. I mean, when you have the mixture of red and blue, something warm and something cool, power and energy, and color psychology, shades of purple can communicate originality and visionary thinking. Purple lovers? Okay. So we can use the setting of our class just to set the mood of our lessons. Okay. We also have active learning spaces. Some spaces, as you can see here, we have 2 classrooms. In this case, they're using colors. You can't see anything. That's weird. Can the rest of you see my screen? Can you see my presentation? Okay. So if we use warmer colors like soft yellow for collaborative areas, we can also incorporate color intensities to define different activity zones. Like in this case, we have a map and there is a seating chart where learners can sit and read. We can design visual boundaries using color-coded floor spaces. And I know this looks ideal in a perfect world, but sometimes, I mean, not sometimes, the goal here is to create a space where every student feels seen, supported, and capable of success, right? Wait, what? I don't have a classroom of my own. I have to share my classroom with 5 other teachers. And I'm from Mexico, and most teachers would say pretty much that I don't have a classroom of my own. we don't have a budget to decorate classrooms. But again, don't worry. This is a good moment to work with your colleagues. And if you share your classroom with 5 other teachers, you could come to an agreement and say, well, this is the best for students. We're going to use half of the classroom for English and half of the classroom for Spanish or science or whatever. This is going to be the reading area or the calming area. When there's a will, there's a way. Exactly. We have a saying here in Mexico. Do what you can with what you have. Haz lo que puedas con lo que tienes. This is pretty much it. I mean, and as someone said before in the chat box, when there's a will, there's a way. Okay. You can even use cardboards. Oh, if you don't have a budget to paint your classroom, because that's not part of the school year's budget, you can use some cardboards to designate some areas, or you can even use masking tape to use this area to read, or this calming zone, or whatever. We can also use color-based sensory tools. I'm going to talk about preschool and elementary. I mean, in preschool, we have some examples like these colored beans that they can use to relax and feel better. They can reduce anxiety, and they also help learners develop fine motor skills. We have this flexible fidget toys that can help them calm down whenever they have a tantrum or sensory overload. In elementary, well, you could have some fidget toys that they can spin them. Let's face it, after COVID and after so much screen time, we have faced a different reality where learners are easily distracted, they become more anxious, and they need these spaces or these tools so they can relax and come back to class. Something else we could do is use color as social emotional support and communication. For example, this mood meter in which learners can just say how they feel. You can use it at the very beginning of the class or at the end of the class. I highly recommend to make a routine with your learners using something similar to this, because if you use it as an exit ticket, they can stick their name on the top, or they can use their own version depending on what you need. Or this could be part of your welcome process when students walk into the classroom, and they can change it as class goes by. We also have this wheel, problem conflict solving wheel, in which we can help learners. Okay, I'm getting so distracted by the chat box. Okay, but I'm so grateful to have so many comments. Thank you for participating. It's not like talking to the wall. It's like there's a conversation here. So we can use this type of wheel so learners can have different choices to make whenever they have a conflict in the class. You can even integrate them into this activity, creating their own solutions. And of course, like we did at the beginning, I don't know if you felt better after our mindfulness session, after our meditation with color. How did you feel about that after that? Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? It took only like 2 minutes. And I think it was a good way to set the mood of the class and to focus exactly. There are some cross-curricular activities. For example, in mathematics, we can use color to teach equations or solving problems or just underlining the most important information in each problem. In science and color, we can use, well, we could create our own mind maps or correlation between data. And of course, in Curious Kids, one of our materials in Macmillan, we have some lessons in which art is included. Yay! I mean, this is for, I think it was for first grade, and they're using primary colors to make secondary colors. And there's also this curiosity corner. Here it says some squirrels are different colors. So we can put this together with how are you feeling, and maybe you are a green orange squirrel. You're happy and you're surprised. Exactly, kids love these activities. Some activities for English language teaching, well, we can implement rainbow writing to reinforce morphology or phonology, spelling and patterns in terms of spelling, coloring parts of speech, like this worksheet that we have here. We can also, I mean, I used to teach literature many years ago. When it comes to simile and metaphor, they can use colors to underline or to circle to identify each of them. We also have some of the patterns. I mean, they're using, this is also from Curious Kids. They're using different colors for the letters S, W, so they can trace and write. For visual vocabulary organization, we can use this type of wall for emergent language or for language that vocabulary we're going to introduce during the lesson. So learners know how to classify them depending on the letter they start with. I highly recommend that students use different colors to try the same word, and well, to use the same color to stick it on the word wall. Here we have some writing task in which learners had to use different colors, and this is helpful for dyslexic learners because sometimes when we use the same color, they don't know the difference or the order on how letters go. So this would be a very good idea for them. Exactly, writing the same word with different colors. Exactly. We also have a mind map here. I created this one about holidays, so learners could brainstorm some ideas in which they could use later on to prepare for a writing task. We have different groups and all words related to each group. We can also teach descriptive phrases using mind maps and using colors, of course. And idioms related to colors. I mean, we could use this as a warmer or as a closing activity, or just something to set the mood of the class, or to activate the schemata, and so on. For skills, I recommend using this wheel, so they can spin the wheel and decide what book to read next, or the next writing assignment will be about a horror story or a sad story. Guided conversations, this can be modified depending on your learner's level. For example, I don't know if you have taught very, very young learners. Have you taught young learners? Okay, so you know that whenever you're trying to teach something, there's always a question that has nothing to do with your class topic, right? Teacher, I don't know why my cat is doing this noise, is making this noise. Okay, so you can have these cards and tell students, okay, so write your question and write your question here, and we'll go over it during the week. So learners don't feel ignored, but they are addressing this question later on. You can have question cards, answer cards, or even the new topics that they want to address. So you know that maybe teenagers, they want to learn something about, well, if I say Facebook, they'll say that that doesn't exist anymore. That's for old people, right? They want to learn something about TikTok. So they can do the new research on TikTok. They can write an essay, or they can write about the zoo or pollution or whatever they have interested on. They have interest on. For early writing support, I saw that Emily did something similar in the previous session. So learners could use color just to have a way of tracing letters more easily. Or they know that green always goes up and yellow lines always go down and red ones are just going across and so on. Projects and games. Well, I found this from a mother's website. She used this during the pandemic. It was a scavenger hunt, and I like doing this with my learners as a warmer, so they can look for items that are red or blue or green. We usually do this in the classroom or outside the classroom, or they even bring items from home, and this can give you a better opportunity to work on more emergent language of things they have around them. It's not just vocabulary from the book. And of course, using a color story chain in which each learner adds a different bit of a story using a different color. Okay, so I have observed over, oh, I can't remember how many, but I think it's more than 3,000 teachers here in Mexico. And one of the problems that share with me the most is, Ana, we don't have time to complete all the lesson plan. For some reason, my students take too long to finish all the activities. And for this, I highly recommend you to do this. Parts. I know this won't work during the first week, but if you, exactly like in football, or if you have a traffic light, you can have students tell them, okay, this is the code. Whenever we have this card, red card, it means stop. Whenever you have the green card, it means start. Whenever you have the yellow card, it means that you have a couple of minutes to complete your task. So learners start getting used to see these cards. They're like, oh, and they get to become more aware of time management. And that's pretty much, that's better for them whenever they have to present a certification or whenever they work in real life, because they cannot take forever doing things in real life, right? We also have color-based word families. We have weekly color themes. I love doing this with very, very young learners because they're pretty visual, and they're learning vocabulary such as tomato or strawberry or sky. Okay. For feedback, not feel bad. For feedback, I highly recommend you to use this type of batches. I mean, we usually have like excellent, good try, but if we have something in color and you can even use them without the text, you could have learners work a bit more on the orange ones, or you can even use binders to separate their work depending on how they did, so they don't have the, that's improvement. They just have the color and they know what it means. Okay. Some considerations that I want to share, because, oh yes, I just shared many things, right? And suddenly you're like, oh, do I have to paint the wall? Do I have to get materials? What about feedback? Rainbow writing, cards. And you want to do everything at the same time. Piece of advice, start small. Really. Don't try to overdo things because it might be overwhelming for you and it's going to be crazy for your students. Okay? Making the cards can be one thing you can try for a couple of weeks, and then you can do something else. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, it's okay too, because not all groups are, I mean, all groups are different. You have to consider accessibility as well as cultural differences, meaning of colors, because depending on the on cultures, depending on the culture, some colors have different meaning. Material management, well, maybe you need to bring in some materials, or maybe you can ask students to bring some materials for you. Assessment strategies, well, every time you try something new, it is always a good idea to assess it with your learners, or maybe talk to your parents or talk to your peers or the principal or whoever, your coordinator, so you're on the same page. There's communication is key. A few tips, well, consistency. This is not only for teaching, this is for life. Yep, we have to be consistent. It's not like, oh, today I'm going to try the cards and then tomorrow, tomorrow we'll try something different. No, kids, well, even adults, when we have a routine, we feel better because we know what's coming next. Don't go over the top. Don't try to do everything at the same time. Make it meaningful. It's not just because it looks pretty. It must be meaningful for you and for learners. And of course, if you can integrate technology, that's even better. I mean, due to my context here in Mexico, if I started doing something very fancy on the computer, most teachers would have said, well, we don't have access to internet. But if you can, and if you have access to it, well, go for it. You can do this. I'm here to cheer you up, okay? And from we talked about today, I'll kindly ask you to share what are you taking to your classroom and what would you like to implement in the future? Is there anything you would like to take away, a mood meter? Okay. Let's create the color revolution. Yes. Thank you. Color week. Yep. Puebla. Color therapy. Okay. I live in Mexico, so these are the guys who bring water. Okay. This is normal. You can find more information here, and as I know some people, well, you will get the presentation in your goodie bag, right? And well, before we go to questions and answers, I want to say something. Can I? Keep systems simple and child-friendly. Less is more. And I want to thank all of you for being here, for your participation. As I said before, I didn't mention this before in this session, but this is my first session coming back after having my baby. So this is me and my baby, and we're really thankful and we're grateful for you being here today.